Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Network's Jekyll and Hyde Theater. Today we bring you H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man. The stranger appeared early in February, late on a stormy night, carrying a black suitcase in his thickly gloved hand. He was wrapped up from head to foot, and the brim of his soft felt had hid every inch of his face, except for his eyes, which were covered by dark glasses.
He staggered into the coach and horses in, more dead than alive, with snow piled on his shoulders. Miss Hall, the innkeeper's wife, thought she had never seen so strange-looking a man, but at this time of year, travelers were few and far between, and she was in no mood to question her guest's appearance.
A fire. In the name of charity, I want a room and a fire.
If you can pay, sir, I'm sure you'll find my inn comfortable.
I can pay well enough. Here are 3 gold pieces.
3 gold pieces? Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Please, step this way, and I'll show you the finest room we have.
It needn't be fine, just so long as there's a fire and a good strong door with a lock. I wish to be warmed and fed and left alone.
Yes, sir. I'll have the porter light a fire immediately. Will this room suit you?
Yes, perfectly. Perfectly.
Janice? A gentleman and roommate? Janice, come light a fire. May I take your hat and cloak, sir, to dry them out by the kitchen fire? You're soaked through. I shouldn't wonder.
Don't touch me, madam. I will dry my clothes at my own fire if I ever get a fire.
Very good, sir. You don't have to be so touchy. I was only trying to be friendly.
I don't need friendship from innkeepers' wives. Just leave me alone. I am expecting my belongings in a day or 2. They are very important to me, to my work.
Your work, sir?
Yes, madam, my work. I have a great deal of work to do, and I wish to be left alone. Completely alone. Now go.
The stranger got his wish. Except for the delivery of his meals, his door remained closed. For 2 days, no one but the porter had so much as a glimpse of him.
Mrs. Hall, that Mr. Griffin kept his back to me the whole time. He did. He wouldn't let me see as much as an inch of his face. Got me wondering, I tell you. He was so anxious for me to get out of his room. Then he became very angry. He whirled around and I saw the strangest thing. Would you believe it?
What, Janice?
He talked to me through a handkerchief. He held the thing up to his face the whole time like he didn't want me to see him. You know what I think, ladies? I think he's invisible.
Did you hear that, Millie? My girl. Invisible, you say? You're a superstitious old fool, Janice. Your mind's wandering.
I suspect we should send a letter to the Queen, Miss Hall, inviting her down to meet our special guest. It isn't every inn that has the privilege of playing host to an invisible man.
But though the women scoffed at Janice, their curiosity about the stranger changed to fear. On the 3rd day after his arrival, the stranger's belongings arrived.
Come along with those things there. I've been waiting long enough.
There certainly are a great many boxes, sir.
Perhaps I should explain, Mrs. Hall, that I am an experimental investigator. The boxes contain many things for investigating.
Oh, yes, sir. Only there are so many boxes. Well, it certainly will make a great deal of trouble cleaning up after you.
Charge me whatever you like, but stop asking me questions. Leave me alone.
The little town of Limington quickly came to accept the man at the inn as a topic of conversation. But after a week, a new mystery broke out. A rash of burglaries had erupted in the neighborhood.
More coffee, Miss Hall. It's the most amazing thing, Gwyneth. Nobody's broken into the post office for years, and it must have been during the daytime, too. £7, 6p was taken.
And John, what about old Mrs. Harney's? She went out of the kitchen for 5 minutes, and when she came back, a fresh bacony pie was gone.
Helen, dear, that's nothing to what happened at Dr. Huntington's. Had a banknote in front of him on his desk, turned his back a moment, and when he looked around, it was gone, and the window was closed the entire time.
Have you heard the latest at the hospital, Miss Hall? 3 folk were just sitting at the front waiting room while old Miss Hopkins was paying her bill. Nurse Craig had just put the money down in the corner when it rose straight up in the air all by itself and walked out.
The robberies increased, but the police found themselves helpless. There were no clues of any kind. Sums of money just seemed to vanish into thin air.
Why, Dr. Cuss, you look as though you'd seen a ghost.
Worse, Miss Hall, worse. The man in room 8.
Scared you off, did he? He's very touchy about wanting to be left alone.
I thought I'd go into the room to see him for a minute. I heard he was rich. I thought he might give me something for the church. I knocked on the door and waited. There was no answer.
Perhaps he didn't hear you?
Just what I thought myself. So I took the liberty of walking in. He was working, and the minute he heard me behind him, he jammed both of his hands into his coat, but not before I was able to see. To see
what, Dr. Cuss?
He has no hands, Miss Hall. There was just 2 empty sleeves, and when I turned around, I saw something else. He has no face. The man in room 8. No hands, no face. You can see right through him, except where there's clothes over him. Janice was right. He's an invisible man.
This strange story, told by Dr. Cuss, spread like wildfire. Suddenly, it seemed to explain the petty thefts that had been going on. Townsmen were soon deputized, with one purpose in mind, to arrest and capture the incredible Invisible Man.
Should we knock on the door or just shove right in?
No use knocking. It would only warn him.
Janice is right. He'd have a chance to make himself invisible.
We'll do better to rush in, Cuss. Take him by surprise.
Very well. Courage, men. We'll capture him, if there's anything to capture. Now then, 1, 2, 3, push!
We've got you now, Invisible Man.
Oh ho, my secret is out, is it?
I don't see him.
Where is he?
The voice came from that direction.
Look, the bandage is hanging in midair. Hurry!
He's moving too fast.
Is it a fight you want? Fools, you're not match for me.
The bandage has dropped to the floor.
Look, he's taking off the other one.
We'll never catch him once he gets them off. He'll be invisible again.
There, that's the last of it. Now come and catch me if you can. Fools, all of you. Here, Dr. Cuss, a blow with a poker to teach you to meddle where you aren't wanted.
He's killed the doctor!
I'll kill all of you before I'm through. You may have found out my secret, but you'll never track me down. You'll never catch me. Nobody can catch the Invisible Man. Ha ha!
Was the Invisible Man right? Would he get away with his many crimes? We'll return to our program in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsor, Dr. Dermy's Toe-Logical Medical Supply.
Tired of itchy feet? Want to get rid of that nasty toe jam? Then come on down to Dr. Dermy's Toe-Logical Medical Supply. We have everything you'll ever need or never need. Clippers, snippers, pumice stones, and more. Polishes, buffers, cushions for your sores. That's Dr. Dermy's on Archway Boulevard. Look for the big pink toe over at the Johnson's Hardware Store. Dr. Dermy's Toe-Logical Medical Supply. Our motto at Dr. Dermy's, don't be callous, try us, Dr. Dermy's.
Welcome back. We now return you to our story of the Invisible Man. Now, there could be no doubt. The whole of Limington was convinced that they had been visited by an invisible man. Word spread rapidly from town to town. In neighboring Kingsville, the story was presented in the evening paper, where it caught the eye of Dr. Kemp.
Have you heard about the strange things going on in Leamington, Dr. Kemp? An invisible man, they say.
Yes, Miss Mallory. I have just been reading about it. Rubbish. Superstitious rubbish.
I thought so myself, Dr. Kemp. But they say...
I don't care what they say. It's simply a cause of mass hysteria. A readily explainable phenomenon, I can assure you.
All the same, sir. I thought I'd leave a bit earlier than usual tonight, if you don't mind, just in case the invisible man is walking around. I shouldn't like to meet him, you know.
I tell you it's impossible, Miss Mallory. Steel and all, you may leave if you'd like. Just see that the windows are all closed in the library. I'm going there in a moment to do some work.
Yes, sir. I'm sure you think that I'm foolish, Dr. Kemp.
That you are, Miss Mallory. If you should bump into this invisible man, you must be certain to give him my regards.
It was 2 o'clock before Dr. Kemp had finished his work for the night. He rose, yawned, and went upstairs to bed. He had already removed his coat and vest when suddenly he noticed that something seemed odd in the room.
Strange. Something seems not quite right. Hello? What's this? The bed is depressed, as though someone had been sitting in it. And there is a sound, as though someone were breathing heavily. My page 9 imagination's playing tricks on me. All that talk of an invisible man has even rattled me. How did that door come to fly shut? There's no breeze. The window isn't open. Is there someone in this room?
Hello, Kemp.
Who said that? Where are you?
I say, this is a piece of luck. Fancy seeing Kemp again after all these years.
How do you know my name? Who is it?
I should think you'd be able to guess who I am after all the talk you've heard. I'm the Invisible Man. That doesn't frighten you?
I am a scientist. I did not believe you existed until now, but as I have been forced to change my mind, I see no reason to lose hold of my senses.
You were always a man of nerve, Kemp. Don't you recognize my voice? I'm Griffin of University College. We were students there.
Griffin?
I was younger than you were. You must remember me. I was an albino with white hair, pale skin. I am still a man like yourself, only now I am invisible.
I do remember you, Griffin. How did all this come about?
You must promise not to tell a soul. It's horrible enough, but I will tell you the whole story.
My dear fellow, I can't promise that.
You will promise me, Dr. Kemp. Remember that though you can't see me, I can see you all the time. One false move, one sign of giving warning to anyone, and you are as good as dead. I see by your face you understand. I shall tell you my story.
There it happened that, in the middle of the night, Dr. Kemp found himself a prisoner by his own fire, listening to the most incredible story he had ever heard.
Dr. Kemp, as an albino, I suppose I was naturally attracted to the subject of pigments. When I was in college, I was very interested in problems of light. I began to do some experiments in changing the color of various substances. Finally, by accident, I hit on a method of making any object, a piece of wood, a lump of coal, absolutely colorless, as transparent as water. And then I had a brilliant idea. If I could transform any kind of matter, why not a living animal? In short, why not make myself invisible?
You must have had many adventures as an invisible man.
Ha ha ha, many, many adventures, but it wasn't going as I had planned. I'm only invisible when I am undressed. With clothes on, I can be seen as easily as you. If I go without my clothes, dogs nip at me. They pick up my scent even if they don't see me. There is always trouble. That is why this is such a stroke of luck, my running into you.
What have I to do with it?
With you in on my secret, I can take refuge in your house. I can sleep in your bed, eat at your table, warm myself by your fire, and no one will be the wiser. Alone, there is so little I can do, but with a friend, 1,000 things are possible. So the invisible man kills him, and no one would know who did it.
You're mad, Griffin, mad. I'll report you.
You will do nothing of the kind, Kemp. Either you will do what I say you will, or you will become my first victim.
That night, the terrified Kemp was unable to sleep. Thoughts kept rolling in his mind. But one thought became clearer and clearer. He must get help.
Tiptoeing to the door of the room in which Griffin lay, Kemp was reassured by the steady sound of breathing, that the invisible man was asleep. Quickly, he returned to the library, where he wrote an urgent note.
Miss Mallory, I am a prisoner of the invisible man. Do not enter the house. Send help at once. There, I've done it. I'll just slip this door around the outside doorknob where Miss Hall will see it. Now I will be safe.
Kemp made his way back to his room. and for the first time that night, managed to fall asleep.
The Invisible Man, tired from his adventures, slept late. When at last he entered the dining room, Kemp knew he had come in by the rustling of the drapes. His voice was calmer than it had been the night before.
Well, Kemp, have you thought over what I have said?
Yes, Griffin, I have. And I can't say I like it.
No one asked you to like it. What was that?
Nothing, Griffin, nothing.
I heard a door open. You betrayed me, didn't you?
No, Griffin, no.
You are a liar. They'll never catch me, Kemp. No one will ever catch me. I swear to you, Kemp, you will pay for this treachery.
Dr. Kemp, your housekeeper told us to come.
There's no time to lose, Constable. He's by the door.
Surround the door, men. Don't let him through.
Throwing books? Are you, Griffin? He must be somewhere by the bookcase.
You'll never catch me, Kemp. Ha ha ha! Never!
Surround the room, men. Feel through the air with your hands. It's the only way. He must be by the door again. To the door! He's broken the window. Look, Dr. Kemp, in the mud beneath your windowsill. A footprint.
Escaped? Heaven help us all, Constable Adams. The Invisible Man has escaped. His reign of terror has begun.
Now that the truth about the Invisible Man was known, Dr. Kemp resolved to use every tool at his disposal.
Constable Adams, we must set a watch on every train and carriage leaving the countryside. Then we must prevent him from eating or sleeping. Food in houses must be locked up.
I understand, Doctor. Clothes can't be put out to dry, but must be kept indoors. Spread the roads with broken glass. He is barefoot. Go through the fields with sticks, beating the air and ground for every inch. And bloodhounds, Dr. Kemp. We must get out the dogs, for they can smell what cannot be seen. Let's go, men.
Days went by with no results. Suddenly, on the fourth night, a note was pushed under Dr. Kemp's locked door.
Dr. Kemp, by now another man would have been caught or starved, but I am no ordinary man. Be warned, I shall have my revenge. I will kill you tonight at 9 o'clock.
No matter where you are, no matter what you are doing, you cannot escape. Oh, Dr. Kemp, is there nothing we can do? Surely you aren't going to sit back and wait for him to kill you.
That is exactly what I am going to do. Sit back and wait. But he won't kill me. The man is mad, and in his madness, he doesn't see that he's giving us the very chance we need.
What chance, Dr. Kemp?
All is not lost, Constable Adams. Listen, I have a plan.
That night, as the clock strikes 9, Dr. Kemp opens his front door and slowly, unaccompanied and unarmed, begins to walk down the path. When he reaches the street, dark and empty.
Griffin, I know when I am beaten. You have sworn to kill me tonight, and I can't escape you. I have come here to keep my appointment with you.
Suddenly, Kemp feels a pair of man's hands circling his throat. Slowly, slowly, they tighten on his throat.
Harder, harder, Griffin. Soon, it will be over.
Slowly, Kemp's body bends beneath the pressure of the murderer's strength.
You were a fool to try and capture me, Kemp. If you had listened to me, you might have ruled the world. But now you've brought about your own destruction.
Dr. Kemp, are you all right?
Yes. Yes. What about Griffin? Did you get him?
I can feel his body here on the ground. There is no heartbeat.
Oh, Dr. Kemp, I've never been so frightened in my life. Are you all right?
Dr. Kemp, it was a stroke of genius. Genius!
I knew that he would try to kill me with his bare hands. If he had used a weapon, you could have seen him. He must have guessed I would be watched by someone. But what he didn't think of was that you would be able to guess his position and could take careful aim.
Look, Dr. Kemp, the dead man.
He's becoming visible again.
How horrible. Look at the face. Such madness, such torment, such pain and grief in its twisted features.
I can't bear to look. It's so hideous. I almost wish he were visible again.
If the world can learn its lesson from the story of this evil genius, we will never again know anyone mad enough to try to become what Griffin became. He has proved that there can never be any happiness for anyone who wishes to rule the world. Certainly not for the
Invisible Man.
Tune in tomorrow for another episode brought to you by Dr. Dermy's Toe-Logical Medical Supply for all your podiatry needs. This has been a production of the
Radio Network.